Today, my friends, we are going to be breaking down some Town Hall 11 Pekka Bobat, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over base identification as well as key objectives, and then into learning how you guys can use your bats. So, Pekka Bobat here at Town Hall 11. How do we do it? Well, here is the big thing. So remember, with any sort of Pekka Bobat strategy, it's base identification. For those of you who have seen previous videos of mine on this strategy, I know I make a lot of videos on it, but it's still a very simple strategy, and every base design is different. For instance, you see this compartment right here? That right there is actually going to be a unwalkable inferno, which means you cannot reach that by the queen. It needs to be by something like the Pekkas, or some way needs to be broken into that compartment. Usually that's going to be pretty good depending on the base. Here, not so much. But the main thing that I want you guys to understand is that every base design is going to be different. And I know that these are tougher bases, but the reason that I show tougher bases is to make base identification and key objectives easier to see, which you're going to be able to see a little bit better when you're hitting stuff like poorly made anti-threes and also those ring bases. Now, I wouldn't use this strategy against ring bases. I think drag bat would be a better one, and we do have that video coming up in the future. But I really want to go over the key objectives. So your key objectives with this strategy is realistically getting rid of the CC. I mean, like any strategy is. Unless it's a Lava Hound, of course. You don't really need to worry about that. But then you also need to make sure that you're getting the Eagle and at least one to both of the Infernos. And then also getting as many of the Wizard Towers down with the Pekkas and the Bowlers. That way you're getting enough value from the base, and this is just going to allow you to use your bats in order to clear up a large chunk of the base. Now, we are bringing 3 free spells, so we are making sure that we are just taking our time in terms of using our free spells. So we'll teach you guys exactly that a little bit later on, but the whole thing is super simple. So because we know where the Town Hall is, which is obviously going to be step number 1 when you're scouting, just remember here, if the Town Hall's in the center, you can use your wall wrecker anywhere. So this is good. Another thing to keep in mind is if you know where that Town Hall is, then you also have to see where those splash buildings are. So if I look at this from here, we can get some decent value if we go in with the wall wrecker around that area. We get 2 wizard towers. We can possibly get even more than just that, which is good, and it gives us access to the multi-inferno. That's really good, and it gives us a lot to work with. And then all we have to make sure that we're doing is that is our wall wrecker pathing. So we got to make sure that we're using a couple of the bowler, or not a couple of the bowlers, a couple of the Pekkas to create that side of the funnel. Maybe the king over here, maybe a baby dragon, maybe a queen walk. You know, there's a lot of things you can do, but basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to funnel out these sections maybe around here in order to force everything to go into the base. You want to make sure that everything's doing that so that then you have easy pathing to move into the base with your Pekkas and bowlers. They're going to have some fun in the base. So that just gives you guys a really short breakdown in terms of the funneling. I don't really want you guys to sort of, take this as the one-all be-all example. There are so many examples I try to give in terms of really understanding how to create a funnel. So you'll see here is that we're starting off with a queen walk. And a queen walk funnel is not typically done with a Pekka Bobat, but it's actually one of the more reliable ways in terms of if you're comfortable in using it. A queen walk is great. Usually, though, you don't want it to be long, which is the reason why he used a balloon on top of the mortar in order for the queen just to do a short walk. Your walk does not need to be long. It does not at all. Once you get to your primary area that you're going to start off your wall wrecker, then you could actually send that in. So as you can see from here, we have our wall wrecker moving in along with a couple bowlers, and we're allowing them to work themselves into the base. Now we do have a CC, which is a baby dragon and archer CC, but this is not too bad. All you have to do is poison it. Super simple. If you're dealing with something like Electro Dragon, if you have your queen going in, you'll be fine. Guaranteed. As long as you're dropping in that poison spell, you should be good. Now notice how we have both Infernos locking onto our troops. So what we did early on is we popped our Warden ability. It protected us from the Eagle, and it protected us from any damage that we were currently taking, either from Expos or from the Infernos. So keep that in mind when you guys are rolling into the base here. But you'll see from this example is that we're actually going to be able to get really deep in the base thanks to the Pekkas, the Bowlers, and the Wall Wrecker. So you'll see that we're getting a lot of value from both of these sections. So you can see that we're basically driving our bats in, but the big thing is we took care of the Eagle, we took care of the Inferno, and we took care of 3, close to 4 of the Wizard Towers. But you'll see that this one is going to go down. So this is what is known as a bat wave. A bat wave is typically done on the outside of the base, which means that we are sending in our bats kind of like this. And it's just easy pathing throughout the base. This is the reason why a lot of people will do this sort of stuff, and it is very, very reasonable to just do this. It gives you easy pathing, and that is what you really should be aiming for. Typically, if you have any troops to sort of tank for anything, so for instance, an Ice Golem is a great way to tank for your bats, as long as a Wizard Tower, let's say here, if there was no defenses right there, and the Ice Golem went straight for the Wizard Tower, it would have already tanked for that, and possibly even a multi-Inferno beam. So you just got to think about, you know, the implications of different things, and just knowing the timing of your freeze. Sometimes though, you don't really want a split like this, and that could really cause you to lose all your bats. Another thing is if you have air troops too close to the bats, and right there you notice a red air bomb. If that red air bomb caught any of the bats, and if a loon lured it and it targets the bats are gone like this. So just keep that in mind, because you really want to make sure that you are keeping your bats alive for the most part. And you can see from here, it's really not going to do too much damage to those Pekkas, especially the max Pekka, and they're going to easily get through it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on into another example using Pekka Bobat. So we're back with our second example, and what we're going to be doing here is just going over base identification and going over the other stuff that we talked about in the first example. This is going to help you guys sort of improve in terms of your base identification, as well as determining where in a particular base you would attack from. So remember that the Town Hall has everything to do with this strategy, just because the Wall Wrecker will go in that direction. The pathing of that Wall Wrecker goes right to the Town Hall. So it's definitely going to be very important that you know exactly where the Town Hall is. On top of this, we want to look at the best area that we can go into. Well, let's see. If we go into the base like this, we can actually get stuff like the Wizard Tower. So if I circle these, we can get stuff like the Wizard Tower, Multi-Inferno. We can actually get both Multi-Infernos. We can get another Wizard Tower. So we can get like 3 Wizard Towers here, and both Multi-Infernos and the Eagle, by just using the Wall Wrecker going in that direction. So that is the base identification you need to think of. Think of the pathing of that Wall Wrecker. There isn't that much DPS around a particular section, so it's really spread out, meaning that this is perfect for the Wall Wrecker to really go through the rest of the base. Now, what if the CC in the defensive CC is not a damage CC? Like in this example, I don't think it is. You can still deal with damage CCs. It's really not that bad. It's really, really easy to do. So you'll see that what we're doing is we're starting with a Queen Walk, which is a great way to sort of create one side of the funnel. This is the reason why we're using the Baby Dragon on one side as well, in order to make sure that the Baby Dragon is creating this side of the funnel for the Queen, so then she can walk in a particular direction. Now, in this example, something a little bit different in terms of seeing the Warden going with the Queen. I don't typically see that. I think it's something a little bit different. Of course, the last time I saw it was probably back in 2015, but outside of it, well, you know, December of 2015. Outside of that, though, you know, it's definitely very important for you guys to deal with the CC. So if you can see that you can lure it out, I would definitely try to. And if it's a damage CC, poison it. You can easily deal with the damage CC like that. Now, when you're actually going into the base, you want to make sure that you are setting the other side of the funnel with the King or something like that. Whatever, Pekka, another Baby Dragon, something. But then what that allows you to do is work your way into the base. Bowlers are one of the hardest troops to funnel in, as their sight is sometimes a little weird, like this one bowler right there that's going to go for the elixir storage. It's a little bit weird in terms of their pathing, but outside of it, it's super simple. Now you'll see it with the Warden ability, and I don't think I mentioned this in the first example, but the Warden, you really need to make sure that you're protecting everything, including that wall wrecker. So that means that what you're going to try and do is break yourselves into the base, and then as you're getting into the core, pop the ability, especially if there are like giant bombs around that area. You really want to make sure that you are protecting your bowlers at all times. So it's really, really important because they are definitely fragile. So that really means that you need to make sure that they are still getting the value of the bowler bounce, and you can get a lot of value from them. So you'll see that we got rid of 3 wizard towers, which is really, really impressive. We're even going to take out the multi-inferno. That 3rd wizard tower is going to go down to the Pekkas, and that really allows the attacker here to start his bat wave. And as I've said before, as I've said in the first example, the bat wave is on the outside of the base. Bat waves are really easy to mostly predict where they're going to be pathing, so it's really important that you either use 1 or 2 free spells on a particular splash damage building. So that is what's really, really important here. So you'll see is that we are going to have to freeze again, but notice the easy pathing that the bats have right to that next wizard tower, and then we just have to easily freeze it up, and that's it. So that really gives you guys a really solid example of using the Pekka Bobat, and I think that this is a really nice example really to give you guys. The next one though is going to be a little bit tougher for me to explain, but we'll kind of go into the thought process of the attacker in terms of how they chose to hit that base and how they were able to 3-star. Now, this is a tougher base design, in my opinion, to hit with a Pekka Bobat. If I were to hit this base, because what the attacker does is they attack from actually a longer direction, so like right here, which it's a little weird because you're not really getting much. You're not getting many wizard towers, but you're getting something. Now, one of the things that I'm sort of seeing when I'm using this, if I were to use it, was I would probably send my wall wrecker in this direction. Even if it didn't get right over to the town hall, you're still giving yourself access to both multi-infernos, you're giving yourself access to the CC, you're giving yourself access to a couple wizard towers, not too many, you're giving yourself only to 2, but that's better than getting only 1 or just getting 1 or 0. So the big thing here is that is where I would hit, because there's some good value there. But I can see why the attacker chose over in this direction, over by the expo compartment. It's an interesting compartment with the expo right in the center. A little bit interesting. Never seen it before. But what we're going to see from here is we're just going to work our way through this entire replay. So we want to really quickly go over sort of the funnel. So unlike the first example or the second example, that was with a queen walk. This one is not using a queen walk. Queen walk is such a viable option. I definitely recommend trying it out to create one side of the funnel if you don't want to waste any of your Pekkas. For the most part, you want to make sure that you're maybe using 1 to 2 your Pekkas to create the funnel if you're not going to use a queen walk. Outside of that, you're going to try and make sure that you can really sort of get that pathing done right. So if we zoom in just a little bit, you'll see that we are going to pop the Warden ability as they start to move in. It's not entirely the core, but they're starting to move into the base. Now again, this is not a damage CC, it's a golem CC, but you still get the idea on how you guys can deal with CCs like this. It's not that bad, and it's still pretty easy to take those CCs out, including damage CCs. What you'll see from here is that we are going to be able to take down the Inferno. We're able to get multiple wizard towers. I believe we got 3 of them, and we got the Inferno and the Eagle. So we still got a lot of really solid value from just using the bat, or from using the Pekkas and bowler portion of the attack. Now when we're using the bat wave, again, we want to make sure that we are definitely sparingly using our free spells. However, this is really going to be a point to where, you know, it's going to be very risky here. I mean, your bats split, and what are you supposed to do? You have a multi-inferno and a wizard tower, and you can't freeze them both. So it's very difficult, and it really definitely is a little bit underwhelming, I guess, in terms of, you know, not having all of your bats to really get through the rest of the entire attack. But I think outside of that, it's definitely, I think in my personal opinion, a little bit tougher to get through bases like this with just relying on the bats. So that is one thing I would recommend you guys try to think about. It's in terms of how the Inferno and the Wizard Towers are placed. If they're placed right above each other and they can't be frozen together, then that is going to be very, very risky, and you may have the chance of failing. Here, King Adam was able to just barely get the triple, as I'm not sure how much time he had, but he had a couple Pekkas. If he didn't have them, he definitely would have failed if he didn't really have any of those cleanup troops. So that's definitely very, very important for an attack like this. So definitely keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and move on into our final example, just to give you guys an example of what happens when plan A does not go to plan. Now, this is going to be our final example, and this war I did stream, and this was definitely one of the sort of bases that I did see. It almost failed. I thought it was, but it was really surprising because the attacker was able to still get the 3-star, even though his plan didn't go correctly. So Pascal from Serbian Warlords was able to really fix their attack in order to 3-star this base. So I want to kind of play it for you guys to sort of get the understanding of what happened. So of course, a normal Pekka Bobat. We're creating the funnel on either side, using a couple balloons here to soak up any seeking air mines, but not just that, but also to take down the archer tower. So that's definitely one tip I can give you guys. If you see that there's an archer tower that you can easily take out with just 2 balloons, there's no air defenses by that, then definitely I would highly recommend definitely trying that out. Now you'll see that what we're doing is we're creating a wide funnel. So we're dropping in the king over here to sort of funnel out this side. So we want to make sure that we're just allowing him to sort of carve this area and possibly go that direction as well, since he is going to leave the cannon up. Other than that, he's just going to easily work his way towards this section down here. However, here is where the pathing does get a little bit weird. It's because of the enemy king, and how when the Pekkas start wandering over here to the elixir storage, they will see the king, and that means a lot of the Pekkas and bowlers will move off, away from the wall wrecker, away from the ice golem, and from the queen, and go with the warden and everything else. So you'll see that everything goes downwards here. So we got 2 separate things going on. So now what you'll see is this attack is definitely not going to plan. He wanted his entire attack to go in. However, this is still good, because even though his warden did not go with the queen, it was better if he didn't. Because if he did, he wouldn't be able to protect the Pekkas and bowlers over here, and that would be enough to sort of carve out this whole area over here, which definitely allows the Pekkas and the bowlers to get some sort of easy value. That also means that you're getting a free wizard tower here and another wizard tower right over here. So you're basically clearing up the multi-inferno. You've already gotten so much value, even though your attack is splitting. And that's sort of the whole main focus. So you'll see that we're still going to pop the Warren ability, even though it wasn't going into the base, but it was still protecting the bowlers from the bomb tower, and it just allowed us to get down the wizard tower. Now, one thing I will note of, you'll see that there is a Yeti right there. It might be a little hard to see, but there is a Yeti currently right there, and this can be used in the wall wrecker, which I think, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to actively use a Pekka Bobat. Now, one of the last things I want to talk about here is the use of a bat bomb. If you can bat bomb a Inferno and a Wizard Tower at the same time, that is going to be the ultimate value that you need with the bats. Usually, you're going to only use this against just Wizard Towers, but if you can get this value too, it's just as good. So definitely, I would highly recommend, really taking a look at the base and see if you have something very similar to this. Used another free spell just because I think they thought that they would need it, especially since the second freeze was going to be wearing down. Outside of that, making sure though that you're getting as much of it, even though the bats do sort of start to disappear. The bats got rid of the multi and the wizard tower, which left that basically that Warden to sort of somewhat stay alive, help the Pekkas and Bowlers a little bit, but was still able to clear through the rest of the base and help those Pekkas and Bowlers to drive through. Got enough value from this one, and even though that this one isn't the best example, the last two weren't really the best examples for this strategy, I will definitely say that they're still really good to show, even if the attackers' plan didn't really go to plan, and these might be tougher bases for you to hit, but again, the tougher the bases, you guys can see the base identification and you can see what the attackers are doing to sort of fix that up. So hopefully that kind of helps you guys understand Pekka Bobat a little bit more. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to leave a like. It really does mean a lot to the channel. And don't forget to go ahead and let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of the video. And hopefully that this helps you guys. Don't forget to share with their clanmates if they want to become better attackers. And also don't forget that you guys can go ahead and support me further by going ahead and joining as a channel member or subscribing on Twitch. And with that being said, also feel free to go ahead and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and also on MadCat, as I will be streaming on both Twitch and MadCat. Don't forget to also, if you want to join a league clan, then definitely join any of the Discords that I have for any of the clans I cover within this game. So definitely make sure that you are, taking a look at their rules and all that if you do plan on joining their server. But with that being said, guys, that is going to do it for the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss anything. I'll be seeing you guys next time. Corrupt, signing out.